Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the America's Tier 1 Division. Of course, here in Season 6 for the Misfits Racing League. My name is Striffium, and we're here for Round 3, and it is the Australian Grand Prix. Joining me for the action, Mikhail. Good evening, good morning to you. How are you doing?
Yes, good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joined by the one and only points scorer now, I'm glad to say. Thank you for reminding me in the chat there, Paula Brenning. Congratulations on your podium finish last night. But yes, it is time for America's Tier 1 for MRL season number 6. And Albert Park, Australia has already produced some fantastic races throughout the week so far. And I'm sure America's Tier 1 will not be any different tonight, Strifium. I can't wait.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic circuit, one of my personal favorites, as I managed to equal my career high points in MRL, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday evening.
In a single race, too.
Yeah,
really
it was
impressive.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, really, 16 turns here around Albert Park. We're going to take a look at the circuit, of course, and walk you through it, of course, most definitely in the qualifying as well. But, well, it is your backyard, Mikhail, here in Melbourne, Australia. It is a fantastic circuit. I think it is a very nice circuit, as of course, from a scenic standpoint, and from a driving standpoint as well, given how things went yesterday, no doubt. But it is the third round of contention out of what is a very fantastic lineup of races for 18 rounds this season. We come through next week through to Italy, of course, for Imola, and then we go to the United States of America. Following that, Monaco, Portugal, Azerbaijan, a very, very dear and near favorite of mine, Canada, Britain, Austria, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, China, Japan, Abu Dhabi, and of course, who could forget Brazil for the finale. And I'm very excited to go through all of these races this season here in the America's Tier 1, of course, in the commentary booth. And, well, let's take a look at the standings, Mikhail, as things are really starting to shape up already for these two teams that shined already in the first two rounds. Of course, Becky B is leading things with 37 points for Williams, Maxim B, and Rhapsody second and third, carefully hunting down Becky B there. They have been doing very well in a team dynamic for Mercedes. Of course, they're second and third for the constructor there, and they are leading the championship for the constructor here in Mercedes. What do you think, Mikhail? What do you think about Williams this season?
Well, they've certainly had a very strong start. I'm just going to remind you to join me up in the commentary booth. We don't want you ending up in the garage. It's just looking at the lobby settings. So we're just waiting on two more drivers to get things underway. But of course, yeah, Becky B, the reigning champion, off to a flying start, leading the way. Johnny Disco has been there on one lap pace in the qualifying, but has unfortunately struggled in the races thus far. And Mercedes not having that consistency issues, of course, with the double podium last time out in Saudi Arabia. Unfortunate news, though, for those Williams fans. Becky B will not be in attendance. He will be filled by his Tier 2 counterpart, Henry, for tonight's race. But that's not going to be great, because that's going to be a guaranteed 0 points for the championship leader, and that really opens the doors up, especially for the two Mercedes, to really pounce on this opportunity.
Yeah, critical opportunity for Mercedes here, and it's going to be very, very important for them to maximize this opportunity with the championship leader absent. And, well, I think here in Australia, there are a few tricky turns that can present issues whether you are racing another racer or not. Of course, you can think of the 11-12 high-speed chicane, and of course turns 1 and 2 here in the opening of this circuit. It's going to be a very intense race with this Tier 1 division, as we've already seen through 2 rounds of racing and contention from this division. Nobody's leaving anything on the table. Everybody is going for it so far this early in the season, and I think that's what everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see everyone pushing to try and get themselves early leads in this championship, as we've seen Becky B do, as well as Mercedes. But things are still tight, which means everything is still very much alive for everybody in this championship. So I have no doubt things are going to be tight through qualifying just the same.
Yeah, we also have quite a scrappy midfield, of course, in these early stages of the season. Taking a look at the Constructors' Championship just very quickly, all the way between McLaren and AlphaTauri. Only 8 points separated them. Of course, Haas with those 2 amazing points that Mr. Jamie Lawrence was able to secure in Saudi Arabia. But unfortunately, the WT not having the best of luck, neither for the 2 Red Bulls and Alpines as well. So, but yeah, it's very tight in that midfield between the McLarens and the Ferraris. Where have we seen that before, Strifium? Absolutely fantastic to see that close racing. Bal Mateo as well, pulling his weight for Aston Martin, but Carmel Lesson needs to find that form that he had last season if he wants to really help out his teammate and really push Aston Martin towards those top 3 positions.
Got a little bit of a climb with how we've seen these Mercedes duo performing. Of course, Max and B Rhapsody. Going to be all interesting to see how the weather dynamic unfolds. That's something else we haven't seen this week in Australia, if I'm not mistaken, as unfortunately we didn't have casts for Tier 1 or Tier 2. But I'd really like to see some rain thrown into the mix. It's been a while since I've gotten to commentate a race with even just an element of rain, whether it be in qualifying or the actual race session.
Oh, now you've done it, Strophium. Now you've done it. We haven't had any weather shenanigans all week. So I think that's been quite the saving grace for the drivers because it's quite slippery at the best of times here in the heart of St. Kilda, right down at the bottom of the city of Melbourne. But you know, anything can happen. It's America's Tier 1 guys. Of course, some of them having their roots in Tier 2 with Johnny Disco, the runner-up from the season before. I do believe the Egg Surf in the European split had a decent race as well. So America's Tier 2 from last season being represented very, very well indeed. But it's clear skies for the 18-minute qualifying session as things stand right now. A couple of reserves aside from the wonderful Henners in that Williams seat. If I actually get the list up quickly for you right now, we have Fluffy Dave and Jacob, my fellow America's Tier 2 commentator, filling in the Alpines, as well as Meaty filling in for Mr. Jamie Lawrence, who unfortunately couldn't be in attendance either this evening.
Well, we will miss them. And, of course, now, first driver out on track out of the 20 racers with us this evening is the reserve in for Mr. Becky B. So it is not the championship leader. However, it is his stand-in, Mr. Henners, first out on circuit here in the Williams.
And Henry, a America's Tier 2 race winner. Of course, last time out in Saudi Arabia, and put the car on pole position as well 24 hours ago. So definitely not a slow driver. So at least Williams will have something to work with. But yeah, I'll have to see. Williams will be told by Gauzy in the chat. Cotter's surprise last-minute reserve to replace Meaty in the Haas. So see him down there in 15th at the moment. It is Henry, Williams' teammate in America's Tier 2. That'll be leading things away. But I'm just glad to see all 20 drivers on this grid. A couple of drivers opting for the mediums for this first time out. It's Henry. Is just winding the car up through this final corner to take us around a lap of the Albert Park Street circuit for the second time this week. Heading down towards turn 1, braking around the 60-meter mark. Want to really attack the apex as much as you can. Use the green AstroTurf at the exit of turn 1. As you fly through turn 2, now 3, one of the slower corners on the track. Second gear all the way up to 4th to just get the grip out of the rear tires. And then turn 5, this flat-out right-hander. Not as easy as it's been in games gone by. and then into the middle sector, turns 6, 7, and 8. They sort of just blend into one. Just trying to keep the minimum speed up as high as you can. And then hard braking zone for turns 9 and 10. Last time we'll be seeing that complex as Carmelesson already losing it at the exit of turn 4 on the Aston Martin. Henry, the fast chicane of turns 11 and 12. You can see how he has to get out of the power just to make sure he can get the nose pointed in with the limited amount of front grip, both aero and mechanical. It's really hard to really get the car pointed where you want it. Through 13 looks nice and clean. Now 14, fifth gear, this fast right-hander as the front left is screaming now for the slowest corner on the entire track. Turn 15, the penultimate one, and then you just wind the car up and just hope that the left side has enough grip to give. But it's a pretty clean opening lap, and it's a 121.7 to start us off here in qualifying.
Soft compound tires. Here comes his teammate and Johnny Disco. Very close time there, and actually jumps Henner's 21.605. Rhapsody says hello. Well, he knocks down the door in all reality in comparison to the Williams this evening with a 21.097. So that is quite the margin, just half a second ahead realistically of Johnny Disco and Hanners. Double OT comes in at 4th position, 21.868. Sales is in, as well as Bo Mateo, and now Gabox G, 21.508 on the softs. Fluffy Dave, good to see him on the grid in the Alpine this evening, 23.320 in the medium compound set.
Yeah, all the guys on the mediums really struggling to compete with the softs, as you would expect. The delta around 1.1 seconds between two tire compounds when both fresh. Maxime B goes ahead of the medium runners with 122.7. So some safe opening laps, but it is very easy to extend the track limits here, so that isn't too much of a surprise. But Rhapsody at the top of the timing sheets isn't really a surprise at all. The Brazilian hoping to leave his mark and really make up for what was a disappointing first time out in Bahrain, which he's still recovering from at this point in time.
I agree with you. And on top of this, I mean, he did take pole position in Bahrain. Right now, we look at this grid, a few other familiar names. Graz is in the top 5 presently. We've seen him fighting recently, especially, of course, last season against some of these racers, and now he's here to do it again in the Scarlet Red Ferrari. Walk, invalidated presently in the Alfa Romeo. Not too much action on the grid right now.
We do have a question in the chat from Potato Gaming. Standings right now, our championship leader, who unfortunately is not in attendance, is Becky B in the Williams. 37 points, and it's the two Mercedes of Maxime B and Rhapsody with 30 and 26 respectively. So keep an eye on those Mercedes guys, looking very, very fast in these early stages of the season. Bel Mateo and Guac in the Aston Martin and Alfa Romeo tied for 4th place on 12 points, and then it sort of scales down from there. So guys to watch for, those two Mercedes, and it looks like a few other drivers have set a couple of flying laps as well in the meantime, because Skeeto, in his newly appointed seat over at Red Bull Racing, 2nd place at the moment. Unfortunately, I was expecting a bit more, honestly, from these guys in the opening runs. Looks very, very safe in these early stages.
M. Ruiz at the moment in the McLaren, presently on the move. Mikau just entering into Sector 2. See what he can do. Presently no time on the board, 11 minutes remaining on the clock here for the qualifying session.
You know, his helmet reminds me a lot of Lando's color scheme, Striff. I mean, you have that nice bright yellow. It's not exactly the same, but, you know, just with the McLaren and that yellow. And I actually believe he's in Lando's car, officially. Fun fact for those of you in the chat. For 9 out of the 10 teams, you can tell which one is the lead driver based on the color of the T-can you see above the airbox. If it's yellow, it's car number 2. If it's black, it's car number 1. Bonus points for anyone in the chat who can tell me which team does not follow this scheme. Zem Ruiz, showing that he's not exactly a number 2 driver here for America's Tier 1 McLaren, putting it on the front row as of right now. 121.285. Take a little excursion to the grass on his way back to the pits.
Johnny Disco in the Williams is on the move, as is Dang Wu.
Quite a few drivers on outlaps at the moment for their second attempts. But Dang Wu, like you just said, for Alfa Romeo on his next attempt. Unfortunately, I think invalidating his first one. Potato, you have to keep trying, mate. You're still wrong. Still haven't gotten quite there yet. Dang Wu, finding the track limits a little bit too challenging at turn 10 Strifium. So we'll have to try yet again, and that really knocks your confidence.
Coming through into turn 13 right now, and that invalidation is going to cost Johnny Disco with an invalidation as well. Henner's invalidation. Rhapsody on a clean run into sector 2.
Now, the correct answer is Alpha Tauri. Pierre Gasly, the number 1 driver over that team, runs the yellow T-Cam. The only team to do so there. Rhapsody is up on his time. We are looking at the first driver into the 1 minute 20s at the moment, Striff. He's up about just over a tenth of a second coming through the second sector split, but it looks like he's not happy with it. He's backed out of it.
Yeah, he has most definitely dropped it. Easing off, he could be getting ready to go again. And he will.
Graz, unfortunately, in that Ferrari, invalidating as well. Casquito, though, currently 3rd on this grid. We'll see if he's able to find an improvement. And he does, but not good enough for provisional pole. A 121.1 for the Red Bull. I'll have to try yet again with just under 8 minutes remaining in the session. So plenty of time. But I'm looking at some of the times set by some of these drivers and where they really stack up. And some drivers on this grid have a lot of work to do in these last 8 remaining minutes, Striff.
Notably, Gabizem, Maxim B, Jacob, Fluffy Dave, Sales, and Bo Mateo all qualifying their fastest runs on the medium. So a little bit of time to find on the softer compound tire.
Well, unfortunately for P2 man of the championship right now, the Canadian Maxime B, he's invalidated. Looks like it might have been at turn 1 on this attempt. So he'll have to either try again or go back into the pit lane and put on a fresh set. And you do not want to be starting this race down in 13. Because it is it's notoriously difficult to make on-track passes here at Albert Park. And even though the game makes it slightly easier to follow than for the real-life 2021 cars, it is still extremely difficult as Rhapsody goes even faster, a 120.7 for his second attempt on that set of tires. So the first driver into the 1 minute 20s, and I hope to be seeing a fair few more, Striff, if I'm honest.
Well, Visha narrowly jumping ahead of Casquito Benitez as Gabux G does just the same. It is now the Alpha Tauri stacking 2 and 3 here on this timing tower, and this is something we have not necessarily seen just yet from the Alpha Tauri squad. They have come to Albert Park, well, to take some serious points, it would seem.
Well, looks like Gabizem has fallen victim of Kirby's favorite corner from last night, the dreaded exit of turn 12. He's gotten on the grass. And you run on board with Rhapsody, you'll see... Oh, no, never mind. You won't see the McLaren on that right-hand side. That is Gabizem, and 14th place is the best that the McLaren can hope for, unfortunately.
Unfortunate when your qualifying is ended early.
Yeah, really solid effort though from the two AlphaTauris, and they're only separated by 0.02 of a second. So it's really, really tight between those two. Wonder how the pit stop phase is going to go, but they kind of need a boost after a disappointing first 2 rounds. Seb, hello. Hope you can join us in the comms box. We'd be glad to have you. It'd be absolutely amazing.
Pass driver now, presently 13th position, jumping to 9th. A near second improvement coming out of the Haas. Very well done here late in the session.
Yeah, Cotter's not the slowest rider either. He, of course, started on that third row, but had that amazing little somersault and turn 2 that he so desperately wanted me to mention for those guys tuning into the Tier 1 broadcast. So, yeah, there you go, Cotters. I've mentioned the flip. You're welcome.
Variety of drivers on the move right now as Bo Mateo pushes out of turn 10. A little bit of traffic here in Sidewinder. Unclear as to whether or not he lost any time in that little exchange. He's coming through now, though. Looking for a sure improvement. He lands into 6th position at 21.287. And the Aston Martins are here into the top 10 now after Karma Lessons' retirement. Dangwoo with an issue.
Yeah, it's not the easiest track. I mean, Karma Lesson as well with that retirement. So, I'll have to see how things go. But it looks like I'm going to be going down to the pit lane. Stryfian.
Very well.
So, yeah, I'll go down the pit lane and see what's up. Just let me know, and Seb will be joining you guys shortly. So, be good.
It'll be absolutely fantastic to have Seb back in the commentary. Sales right now coming through 15 and now navigating through 16 in the Ferrari, looking to join his teammate Graz here in the top 10. Where can he land himself? Well, just shy. P11, he misses out in the top 10 by a millisecond, as it's Johnny Disco in there with a 21.605 holding on to that 10th spot. However, on an outlap, there is still 2 minutes and 10 remaining in the session.
Yeah, not a lot of action at the pit lane right now. Have a couple of drivers coming out there on outlaps. Emery's and Casquedo very close together as well. Only 3 drivers still in the Mono 20s. I was expecting a little bit more, if I'm honest, but there's still plenty of time left to go in the session.
Skidoo Benitez invalidated. Jacob appearing to be pushing right now.
He's navigated the turn 3-4 complex nicely. It's Gabox retiring from the session as well. He's lost it at the exit of turn 2. So, fortunately, he got a decent lap time in. We'll see what Jacob is able to do.
Pushing into turn 13.
We have a certain bitty modern in here.
We do.
Been a long time coming this season. And what a race
Right.
to return to than Albert Park, Seb.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the commentary booth, Mr. Seb. Welcome to season 6, and welcome home.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. How are we?
Yeah, good eye, mate.
God.
Jacob, 21330 presently on the timing tower. A few drivers looking for improvement. Rhapsody will not be finding any. Neither will M. Ruiz, as they have both invalidated. Johnny Disco, however, looking to be on a flyer. Hopefully he is, because if he is, he may very well just have a shot at pole position here.
Sorting some stuff out with my game at the moment. Give me a sec, gents.
No, so that will be Johnny Disco coming into the pit lane, and that will be now, I think, the end of qualifying. Can anybody push to dethrone Rhapsody from pole position here? Maxim B, perhaps, his teammate. Coming through. 22.716 is where we see Maxim B on this timing tower. We know he's quicker than that. Where is he going to land himself? Ladies and gentlemen, 11th position. 121.430. 10th on the rear of Jacob. And that will wrap up our 18-minute qualifying session. It's Rhapsody on pole position. Once again, the Brazilian in the Mercedes is going to be thrilled about it. It was a 120.703 here around Albert Park. And Ruiz lining up on the front row next to him in the McLaren at 20.8. Casquito Benitez in there as well for Red Bull.
That's a disappointing performance from Maxim B, honestly. I mean, in a race where Becky B is not in attendance, you have a real opportunity to just get some really crucial points and really slingshot yourself, first into first place, and then to extend the gap as much as you can, because we know Becky B is a two-time champion for nothing. So he'll be coming back very strong in Imola, should he race next week. So that's a very disappointing result for Maxime. But it is what has been dubbed the second pole, Striff. So maybe an option to go for the alternative strategy. The safety car plays out his way, but he's got a lot of work to do in the 29 laps to follow.
Absolutely. Once again, Rhapsody in the Mercedes pole position here in Australia for round 3. This is his second pole position of the season, if I'm not mistaken. I don't believe he snagged it last week, but he most definitely did in Bahrain. And Ruiz, of course, second position for him, and the McLaren will be starting right behind the Brazilian, of course, on the front row. And we have Casquito Benitez rounding off the top 3 here, as we will, of course, go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap.
Yeah,
Not all.
backwards cotters doing wonders.
No sun in the sky as it would appear right now. A little bit of an overcast. I don't believe I did receive a full weather report. But I would really like to see some element of rain. That would just be fantastic.
It'd be fun for you, Striff. I don't know about the drivers.
Well, yeah. I had my race this week already.
You don't mind seeing a bit of chaos, don't
No,
you? Safety cars, breed safety cars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'll go down the pit lane, guys. You guys have fun in the comms box.
All right, thanks, Mick. And well, this show's about to start, Striff, and what a show it could be.
Formation lap. Of course, the strategy here, I do believe, is a soft medium.
You are correct.
Of course, we have now a 29 lap campaign ahead of us here around Albert Park in Australia. Of course, Melbourne or Melbourne. however you wish to say it. I've been coached to say Melbourne by the man I am now commentating with this evening. Rhapsody, pole position. M. Ruiz, Casquito Benita is our top 3, and of course, Seb, why don't you take us through the rest of our lineup?
Johnny Disco, familiar name. P4 in for Becky B, I believe, as well as Gabox right below him in that AlphaTauri. P10 in the championship with Graz in that Ferrari seat. Bishop creating a Ferrari sandwich with those two AlphaTauris, P5 and P7, with Balmateo right behind him. And there's in that other Williams, P9 with Jacob rounding off our top 10. All have to start on the soft tyres, as that's what they qualified on. Now here's where it gets interesting. P2 in the championship, Becky B. P11, medium tyres. And so is the same for all those next 7 drivers. Fluffy Dave, Sales, Redock, Double OT, Guac, and Sidewinder, all on those medium tyres with Gavizm and Carmelesson down P18, P19, starting on the soft for McLaren and Aston Martin. Dengwu in that Alfa Romeo starting last, starting on the medium tyres. So a bit of variety in this grid, as we see if the alt track comes into play later in the race, if we do indeed have safety cars. All to be seen, Swift, all to be seen.
Well, from what I understand, this week we have a little bit of anticipation to see the safety car, as there have been multiple over the course of the previous 4 rounds held this week in the MRL. Rhapsody coming first, of course, to his grid slot here in pole position, as Emery's will follow to take the front row formation. And it is only 2 drivers out of the back 10 starting on the softs, which is quite interesting. I was in Carmelesson doing a little bit of an alternate strategy for that back 10. But it is time to go racing here in Albert Park. Of course, we wait for the lights to come alive and go dark for some epic action. 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Australia for the Americas Tier 1 division. We are away racing, and it is a fantastic launch for Disco. He's looking at the inside of Ruiz. He's looking at the outside of Ruiz, and he doesn't have anywhere to go as Ruiz holds off second position. Rhapsody holding through nice and tight in first. Skidoo Benitez wants to have a look, and Gabox G is right there with Graz, looking for very, very serious action as we come through turn 3 and 4. Bisha, Henners, and Bomateo all in close proximity.
Karma had a poor start, Swift, and Maxime B's got wing damage. He's down in last position at the moment.
A little bit of contact here between the 2 Alpha Tauris. They're both round, and that could not be worse if you are a fan for that constructor here in the championship, as they are now both back to the back of this bus, and I don't even know what to say about that.
So there's a bit of chaos going on at turn 9 and 10 as well. I think Carmelesson's AI right now, a bit all over the shot, is causing a bit of chaos in this midfield, the back of the midfield strip. And I think there's a couple of cars with wing damage here, which we see a lot of drivers pitting.
Carmelesson does not only have wing damage, he has no wing. So he is most definitely going to be coming in to service his app. And that is just not the start you want to have in Australia, as Rhapsody, of course, holding his pole position over M. Ruiz at the moment. Johnny Disco up 1 position. I think we're going to have ourselves a very tight race here up at the front.
Yeah, if the DRS train holds. Yeah.
A lot of action in the pits on this opening lap. I mean, with both of our AlphaTauris really in the mud there. Maxime B as well. Poor start after a poor qualifying. It's looking really, really dire for those guys. But a long way to go. Lots of chances for safety cars. But it's Rhapsody who's having a pretty clean start of things and doing what he needs to do, guys.
Henners as well, and Double OT and Guac up a lot of positions. So is Gabizm and Dengwu. We're starting from the back, kept out of chaos and see himself into P14, but keep an eye on this front 5. DRS train down to move them forward, and we'll get some action indeed, especially if, Johnny Disco. A lot of self-inflicted pain. Yeah, a lot of self-inflicted pain can come from turn 11 and 12. So watch out for that hot spot.
Looked like he might have been taking a bit of a bite at Ruiz, and it didn't go the way he wanted. I think Ruiz had a bit of an issue, and Johnny overcorrected and then fell into an issue of his own.
Might have indeed, and you could see he had the run, but I think he might have just, as you said, saw Ruiz had that little bit of a snap and overcorrected. Or reacted to it instead, and that saw him go off a bit wide.
Mateo on the rear of Henners right now as we come through into turn 3. Jacob also in on this little train on the rear of the Williams.
One of those packs right now. P1 to P5, P6 to P8. Got Double OT and Guac fighting it out. The final 2 points positions. And that field's pretty spread after those first lap incidents at turn 1 and 2 and turn 9 and 10. Jacob's got a run though.
Up the inside. Looking tight, very tight. Ooh, I almost thought there was a bit of contact there on the exit out of 13, but he gets it done.
And it's just went a bit wide through turn 14. Swift might have opened the door for Jacob here. Turn 15's a bit of a bottleneck of a corner, but hasn't been a good section of the track for Henners in this past lap.
Ruiz tight to Rhapsody as well. Jacob backs off. Ruiz with the DRS now hunting down Rhapsody for lead of this race into turn 3. The outside line for the McLaren. Does he have anything to do against this Mercedes right now? Rhapsody holds off. Does this open the door for Johnny Disco? Well, Johnny Disco is certainly trying to jam it open. Trying not to give any room to breathe to the McLaren.
Dive around the outside of turn 3 doesn't normally work. It's just too tight on the exit and too slow of a corner. Angle take's not that great as Henners and Jacob changing positions once again. Jacob got the move done into turn 3, but Henners will not give P6 up without a fight.
Bisha Cotters with an exchange for 15th position. Johnny Disco on the exit out of 12, looking with that DRS at Ruiz, but of course Ruiz has it on Rhapsody. Jacob and Henners with another exchange into 13 here. Henners holding tight on the inside, around the outside for the Alpine. It's wheel to wheel as we come through 14. Still fronts to rears for the Alpine and Williams. Bo Mateo with a front row seat to the action. Jacob and Henners are not done.
Henners has DRS as well. Jacob just caught out at that DRS detection line just before turn 14. Oh! Henners around. And just keeps it out of Jacob and Bomateos. Bomateos going for a move now. Drift, but have to back out around the outside turn 3. A scene and not the greatest spot to go for a move. Ooh. Fall behind for what is now P7.
Big train right now on the rear of Guac, who is only 2.5 seconds in the rear of that tight battle for P6 between Jacob and Bo Mateo. And of course we have the train on the rear of Rhapsody, which is down to Graz in P5.
Guac's in a good position right now. Front runner on the mediums. P8.
Here comes Johnny.
2.7.
Looking very tight to the rear of Ruiz. I thought he was going to maybe pull a trigger on the inside through 13, but he thought better about it. Double OT on the rear of Guac. A slight tap now coming from Johnny Disco. There's big contact. There's 3 cars involved. And now there's even more contact between the McLaren and the Red Bull. And a massive cut coming out of Ruiz into the pit lane. Jacob carries on. No visible damage. Rhapsody leads this race now by 2.6.
Well, that's a gift, Striff, right there for Rhapsody. All pressure off. And all started from Johnny Disco. Tap on the rear. Almost looked like he tried to get Ruiz facing the right way, but by doing that, contact model sent him round sent Ruiz around Casquito. Benitez tried to go around the outside. Then when Ruiz tried to enter the pits, because it looked like he had wind damage, he just turned across Casquito Benitez and cut across the pit lane entry, which you can't do. I won't be surprised to see a report there.
Yeah, that was an extremely unfortunate incident that was 3 cars, nearly 4 cars involved at the center of turn 15 and 16 there, just between the 2 turns. Maxim B and Carmeless, and now it's an exchange coming out of turn 2. Maxim B getting ahead, DRS for the Aston Martin. Looking for the outside, Maxim B shuts the door.
Maxime B was at the disadvantage there, but classy move right there. Just to be able to do the switchback out of turn 1 into turn 2. Got Carmelesson, who was on quite a shallow line. What you'd take turn 1, and just didn't have the speed to carry momentum up that second DRS straight.
Checking back in for the fight for 5th, and it's double OT with a penalty with Sales and Henners in close proximity on his rear. Glock with a break-off line to try and lose the slip with double OT, but he jumps back in to make the turn optimal. And right now Sales is looking to pull the trigger on the Haas, and he actually thinks better of it. Double OT with a little bit of a wobble, I'll say, as we come into the turn. He holds tight through 4 and 5, but Sales gets it done.
Looked like he might have just got spooked by Sales there. That was Sales hit him into the braking zone. That just meant he went deep, but even then, I don't think he was under much pressure because Sales got caught between 2 mines in the braking zone, but mistake can open up the door here, and all you need is just a slight invitation, and there's a move.
There's a Alpine around. That's Jacob. Jacob dropping down this order now. Variety of racers are going to gain positions as he was looking, well, completely out of shape. Recovering to 8th position.
And there's DRS trainers. We've got a couple of battles. Guac and Sales on the medium. Then we got WT and Henners on medium soft. So all same tire age. It looks like these 2 in the Ferrari powered cars are going to pull ahead, and the Haas and Williams might exchange positions. Oh, speaking too soon because Henners just slightly lost its drift. It's on that outside curb. Slightly warm tires will do that on the exit of turn 1 into turn 2.
Emery's Johnny Disco lapping very quickly right now. Johnny set the fastest lap, then it was Ruiz, and now the McLaren holds it in 10th position. So as it stands, he would gain an additional point.
It's always getting to that time of the race, gents. Lap 8 of 29. Do we see some of these front runners go in for the undercut because these softs don't have a lot left to give? Seb, you know better than anyone else.
I wouldn't be surprised seeing Henners do it. Going in early, he's stuck at the back of this DRS train, so wouldn't be surprised. Lap 8, you can take the mediums to the end from there, but if you're a front runner, almost stay at an extra lap or 2 just to cover off that potential safety car. Looking at Rhapsody and Graz for that. Maybe Barmateo could apply some pressure. Maybe Graz could as well, but looks like they're going to stay out that extra lap.
Fluffy Dave with an issue in the Alpine. He is around in Sector 2. Another thing to note, there are now 6 drivers on the grid with 3-second time penalties. They are Sales, OT, 7 drivers as we now add Henners to the club. Sales, OT, Henners, Johnny Disco, Visha, Carmelesson, and Cotters all now holding on to very irritating 3-second time penalties in their races.
Melbourne is purely a rhythm track, and when you're getting warnings, that it's a good sign that you're not quite in tune with the track, quite not in tune with the car, quite not feeling it. So yes, I say it a lot. I've said it many times in past MRL streams, but rhythm is very key, especially in your race where consistency is key. Something Mick knows a ton about.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that one. maybe in seasons gone by, but I'm honestly surprised that none of these guys have even thought about the undercut yet. That's really surprising to me. Down here in the pits, and still, none of the pit crews are getting ready.
I think it's just got to be part of the fact that that safety car can come at any time, and on top of that, mediums do die off a lot at the end. You lose a lot of pace, and once I hit about that 70% mark, 65% on the rear tires, you can't really put the foot down on the exit of turn 1, as I found out on Sunday elsewhere. But always got to keep in mind that those yellow flags on sector 3, that's looks like it is Gabox G, but always got to keep in mind these tires, because soft tires are kind of lost their pace now. Ooh, I've just seen that.
That was a big issue for Sales, and the Ferrari drops back a little bit of time here, pushes WT into Henners. Henners goes into the wall. He's had a big problem in the Williams, and that is not where you want to find yourself when you are filling in for who is the championship leader.
Don't expect that in that section of track, but maybe that's just the soft tires going off right there. Such an odd spot to go off.
Sales now pushing Walk. Sales on the inside of 13, getting it done with the DRS Walk with a fantastic switchback opportunity. Takes advantage of Sales as he has a bad exit.
Oh, we have some action in the pit lane, guys. Rhapsody and Grice, that's Mercedes and Ferrari out. The Aston Martins are out as well. The pit stops are all happening.
There's a safety car.
The safety car has been called, yeah. But Rhapsody picked up a speeding ticket on the way into the pit lane, guys. That could be really critical in the race.
Sorry, Mick, but Guac is playing games right now. He's staying behind the safety car. He had the opportunity to overtake it. He decided to pull up, match the speed, and this could...
That's absolutely massive.
Rhapsody's 5-second time penalty, and he doesn't go past the safety car as well.
That is extremely interesting. WT, massive issue, to say the least, into turn 1 there. Found him having a picnic on the runoff grass. Fortunately, he got things slowing down.
Yeah, so it looks like your prediction came true. So with that safety car, there's a lot of action in the pit lane. It's right in that optimal window, lap 10, lap 11, where you don't really worry about the mediums having any grip issues. And unsurprisingly, a lot of drivers going for that. But Alfa Romeo, Deng put on the soft tires. So he'll need to make another stop. I do believe he started on the mediums, so you're in a tough spot. But, I mean... we saw last night, I know you weren't here for that, but Paula Brady actually made the hards work just with the track position after all the other cars behind her needed to make, all the cars ahead of her, I should say, needed to make another stop and was able to just keep it clean to the end. So is softs the right call here? Because it's really a 50-50 in my book.
It's a gamble call, because you gotta heed the wise words of the other man in this, the Canadian man in this box, Striff. And safety cars breed safety cars, so I wonder if he's taking a page out of Striff's book here. But it is a massive gamble to bet on a safety car when there's no guarantee of it coming out, especially no guarantee of it coming out in the next, 11 or so laps. It could come out at lap 27, could come out whenever, so big gamble. Could pay off if he wants to get up the field. But I'm more interested in his teammate strategy right now, Glock. It didn't make that much of a difference staying behind the safety car, because he is on those meds. He'll have to pit in the next, 7 or so laps maximum. You'd think he'd want to pit around lap 18.
Very interesting scenario, of course. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Let us know what you are thinking about all of the 19 racers left with us. And of course, big hello to Mr. Yoda. Good to see you. And it's quite late for you, so welcome.
I think the big thing with... yeah, welcome to all. I think the big thing with Guok not overtaking the safety cars, I don't think he gave himself the option to have time to make a decision on whether he wanted to switch to the hards. Like I said, Paula Brady had the opportunity to do it and made it pay off. So it's all to be seen what happens in the next 10 laps. The next 10 laps are pretty race crucial, you'd say, for those medium runners who started on the mediums or pit early for them due to incidents. Looking at Maxime B there, WOT, Sales, Guok, and obviously Dengwu, who's pitted onto the soft tyres. Big question marks being put out at the moment.
Well, one question mark that was put out that I think I can address, at the very least, my take on, is whether or not we're going to see another safety car. You mentioned my lovely phrase of safety cars bringing safety cars, and I think that in a circuit like Albert Park, and based on what we've seen this week, my crystal ball is glowing, and I'm seeing a vision of another safety car in this race, without a doubt.
Very likely. When you bunch up the pack, this track is very prone to drivers making mistakes themselves, and there's some tight sections such as turn 5, that quick right-hander, which can be quite touch and go sometimes on worn tyres and higher fuel in a race. Mistakes here and there can lead to pile-ups. You're no more prone to that than the exit of turn 2. On the exit of turn 12, there's a lot of sections where you can see mistakes and spins, and if a driver is caught in the way, it can lead to big crashes, and as you said, a safety car can come out.
A lot of drivers with penalties on this grid. One thing that I know absolutely nobody wants to see, okay? Nobody wants to see a late safety car.
Well, it depends who you are.
Well, a 3-second time penalty, I think, is something you do not want to be having at the point in time of a safety car, unless everybody around you, I guess, has one. But
yeah, if you're Rhapsody, for example, or Gavox G, if he's able to get himself into a point scoring position, you almost want that, final lap safety car to come out with 5 laps to go, get that time penalty out the way, serve it under safety car, get some soft tyres on, maybe down the field, but at least you get that time penalty out the way if he is unable to get it removed.
So it's Ted here. I have some news from the pit wall. So it looks like Fluffy Dave just losing it at turn 6 7 on the curbs as the tires were starting to get quite worn, and all of Mr. Cody's drivers in a tough spot, but looking to use the safety car to the maximum potential and try and make up some early positions.
thanks very much for that, Nick. Walk now, putting extreme heat at the very least into his tires ahead of this restart. Now it's the Alfa Romeo on his worn tires, of course, making up 15 positions in this race thus far. 12-lap old, soon to be 13-lap old mediums. Away we go now through 15, and he is pushing at the very least through 16. It's time to go, Seb. Here we go.
It's time to go indeed. Looks like, Sales is a bit off him. I think he might have just been caught out a tad there.
Graz, WOT now. WOT on the worn tires. Graz is going to be looking to push position extremely quick to try and hunt down Rhapsody.
His first few laps after the safety car, all about getting those tied up attempts as Maxime B. Having a look around the outside of Johnny Disco's drift. Doesn't work too often. He's on the curb. He's got a time penalty now. And he's been spun around as well.
Hanners on the rear of Maxim B, pushing through 12th position. Now Casquito Benitez gabbies him get through. Visha tight to the rear of the Williams, and that is a very unique scenario to say the least here on lap 14. Now wheel to wheel between WOT and Graz. Graz on the fresh rubber, WOT holding position, and Bo Mateo is in there.
Sorry, Striff, but Maxime B has retired. Sidewinder ran into him on the exit of turn 4, was offsided by a car and didn't see him, and he's just slammed into him, and that's Maxime B's chance at points and closing in or even overtaking Becky B in the championship gone for this race.
That is a very unfortunate situation for Mercedes. Now it is only Rhapsody with a 5-second time penalty in third position for this race. And we were talking about Mercedes, Mick and I, in the pre-race show about how they needed to maximize opportunities, just as Graz has done on OOT. He now, though, needs to make up a 1.1 second deficit to his rival in what is a potential race win here. Graz, 4-lap old mediums, no penalties. Rhapsody is net P1.
How tight this field is, Striff. I'm going to train from P1 almost down to P8. I'm going to train from P9 down to around P15. And Mateo is all over the back of OOT.
Mateo, OOT, wheel to wheel now through into 11 and 12. This is daring right now. Oh, OOT really had to get on the brake there. Really exposed now. Jacob around the outside is going to try and push through on this Haas, but OOT on the ERS, holding through on the inside right now through turn 13. This is huge for Jacob and OOT. What a battle. Ruiz is there on the rear, and Johnny Disco isn't far. What's happened now? As a VSC has been deployed.
Carmelesson dropped out of turn 12 and free pits up to Guac and Sales. They'll take the softs to the end, you'd assume. And pray for maybe a safety car. They should be able to take him to the end, but they'll be a bit touch and go with the wear Striff. We'll have to keep an eye on them, keep an eye on punches.
The gap.
Not the only one, Jets. OOT also into the pit lane, taking this opportunity. So Haas have made the call as well. And now all drivers hoping to go to the end of the session. But that is so unfortunate for Carmelesson. He needs to find that form he had last season, guys. He needs to find that some way, somehow. It's been probably the worst start to the season possible for the Aston Martin and race winner as well.
P14, the championship, you don't expect that from the likes of him. He's got to find something, got to find it quick. No!
Jacob has done what no one wants to find themselves doing in this race, and that is picking up a drive-through penalty, getting into the virtual safety car.
So late in the race as well. Still about a, between a third and halfway to go, but
big thank you to Sidewinder for the raid, and unfortunate to see your race end early.
Rhapsody has pulled a gap on Graz here. Graz is trying to pull it back, and it certainly is. But almost very crucial for Ferrari, because if Rhapsody can pull away with that 5-second penalty, could be game over, but that is quite a task for the Mercedes driver.
Sales and Guac with the exchange for 12th position. Sales getting ahead in the Ferrari. Such a train all the way on the rear of Mateo right now, and notably Jacob still has to get that drive-through penalty done and dusted with, and this train is not going to help that.
Crucial for Ruiz, he gets closer to Jacob and hopefully get the DRS of Mateo. But when Jacob does inevitably come in to serve that drive-through, and Rhapsody another 3 seconds.
Brings him to 8 now. As Galax G 23.647. Now the fastest lap in the session.
And there's Jacob into the pit striff, so releases Ruiz, but Ruiz got some work to do to get onto the DRS range of Mateo. Not come under pressure from cars behind, such as Johnny Disco and Casquedo Benitez.
Narrowly approaching that DRS window is Ruiz right now, and he is within it, but has to hold on to it for a little bit, and we are approaching An intricate section of the circuit, navigating out of turn 5.
Yellow flags for Hennes, dropped it. Exited turn 3. Got it going though, still in P10, but Sales and Glock right behind him.
Sales picks up 3 seconds. Guac drives into the rear of the Williams. Isha under threat from Cotters right now for 8th position.
Oh, Red Dog with a dive and try to hold it in there. Unable to. It's been spun around. He's just smartly getting out of the way of Sales and the other drivers behind. Try not to impede them too much, but he does have the right to get going a bit.
Visha has had an issue. Ladies
And safety
gentlemen,
car.
as Seb has said, we have our second safety car of the campaign.
That car's pretty
Unfortunately-
deep as well.
Yeah. Had to have lost it on that outside curb of turn 2, Mick, you'd think.
Maybe an overcorrection as well. That's because you normally see it, right on the left-hand side. Like through MRL's history, we've had quite a few drivers lose it on the AstroTurf at the apex of turn 2, and you normally just see the car slide towards the left.
Mm-hmm.
But like that car's gone pretty far after the exit of turn 2, so maybe an overcorrection there. But that has brought out the safety car. Will be a sprint to the end. Rhapsody does have the opportunity to serve as 5 seconds, but at what cost? At what cost?
I think he has to, Mick, considering, well, there's a chance of a late safety car. Almost one to get out of the way now, and he is. Come in. Grass is coming in as well by Mateo. Ruiz stays out. Big call from the McLaren here. Only driver in that top 7 to stay out. And unfortunately for Sales and Guac right now, I'm not sure they'll be getting to registration. Sales will come into the pits, and Guac will not.
That is a big misplay from the McLaren. Big misplay.
9-lap old mediums. Those softs are going to be so much more superiorly faster. Graz in prime position here to take a win. Unfortunately for Rock and Sales, they had that early VSC, and they should have pit under, and they did the right thing. But this safety car might have helped them a bit with tyre wear, but it has given the chance for other drivers to pit onto softs and match them.
It's absolutely going to bring things to an even playing field for a good chunk of this
field. You say
field.
that, Sturf. Yeah, for a good chunk, yes, but also for a similarly sized chunk, it's absolute devastation because we've got all those black and white flags on the timing tower at the moment.
Absolutely. Rhapsody, 3 seconds. Johnny, 3 seconds. You've got Sales with 6. Henners with 3. Double OT with 3. And it is Cotters with 6 joining Deng Wu as well.
Now, Ruiz needs to do a lot of tire warming under the safety car, and he really needs to put a fair bit of heat at the start of green flag racing, which you'd assume around lap 22 would get going.
Cotters
But
adds to his tally now. Nine seconds.
4 seconds.
The reserve.
You see Ruiz just weaving up and down trying to keep temps into those medium tyres. It's so much harder than the soft tyres. You don't really have any overheating issues with the mediums, but Might get them a tad with the soft tyres of this late in the race. Less fuel. So we're down to raw pace, really. Luckily for Ruiz, he does have a lapped car between himself and Graz, so a little bit of a buffer to help him. I'm not sure there'll be too much help. And the car behind is on fresh softs.
And we saw that play a crucial role 24 hours ago. Of course, in that scenario, it was Mr. Bean who profited from that. Stayed out on that first safety car. Had the lap cars right behind him. And in all the calamity, was able to pull the gap, which ultimately helped him secure the race victory. So, track position is everything around here, gents. All of you ladies and gentlemen in the chat as well. Track position is king around here. But is that going to be enough for the McLaren? I'm curious to know. What do you guys think in the comments box? What do you guys think in the chat? Send in your suggestions.
I don't think it's going to be enough.
I just think the softs at this stage in the race will just be way faster, fresh softs, and medium tyres halfway through their lifespan, or at least a third of the way through their lifespan. I think it's going to be a bit too much of a tall ask for Ruiz to produce a rabbit out of the hat here. But all to be seen. He's hard to overtake, but he's at the front of that queue. And safety car is in this lap. So he's lucky. He's actually somewhat lucky it's called in late because he doesn't get the throttle locking and he's able to keep those tyres somewhat warm.
Welcome to lap 22, ladies and gentlemen. Ruiz looking to push the car now to go green flag racing, and we are once again racing here in Albert Park.
Dang, we're pulling out of the way already. That's due to the poor restart that Ruiz had. And he's already under pressure, Striff. Grez could send one.
This is a very intense moment for the Ferrari. He's got Guac breathing down his neck. We've got a yellow flag sparking. That's Deng Wu at the rear end of this grid. Bo Mateo on the rear of Guac as well. It's a pressure cooker, this lineup right now.
It is all happening. This train will extend all the way down to P9.
Graz pushing Ruiz now. He's got the mediums. He's going to try and hold the outside. Graz pushing through, holding traction nice and tight for the exit. Ruiz really giving it to him. Ruiz not wanting to give in. Oh, there's contact. Guac on the rear now. It's 3 wide as we come through 16 nearly. Graz is now the lead car on this grid. Ruiz has dropped not 1 but 2 positions, but he's still next to Guac as we come into turn 1. It's the Alpha on the outside looking for a switch through as we come out of 2. Where is Ruiz? He's still ahead of Guac. We're coming into turn 3. This is absolutely wild. Bo Mateo on the rear. A bit of a snap coming out of the McLaren. Ruiz is still in second position. But where's Graz? He's running away.
Ruiz really helping out Graz here. What a defensive battle that was for Ruiz. He's done brilliantly to be able to hold on to P2 at the moment on lap 23, on 12 lap old mediums versus 7 lap old softs and 3 lap old softs. He's done a brilliant job just to be able to stay in front for 1 more lap, and Guac has backed off here a bit. Doesn't mean he can't pull up in this final sector, but man, oh man, Ruiz has done a fantastic job, and it's gifted Graz. Gifted Graz. As long as there's no late safety car, he could have a victory here.
Skidoo Benitez, Johnny Disco, wheel to wheel right now, fronts to rears. It's Johnny under threat as we come into 13, and Casquito sends one nearly into the rear. Bo Mateo, Johnny on the outside trying to hold off. Gabism's there, Jacob's there, the entire grid is there, and Double OT. He is in 10th position right now, tight to the rear of Jacob, trying to pick up the pieces. And unfortunately, he's got to come into the pit lane.
Rapsi's into P3. Watch this space. Perhaps he's on somewhat of a charge here, Striff.
Clock looking to defend. Skidoo Benitez is there. Johnny Disco gabbies him. Walk jumps over the curbing. Takes 3 seconds. Casquito rolls on by.
Meanwhile,
The Alfa
what's
Romeo's
happening?
damage. It looks like the Alfa Romeo's damaged there, guys.
Yeah.
He's really struggling. And it's now lost him a whole 2 positions so far this lap, and it looks like it might soon to be 3 if Belmateo is able to fight off Johnny Disco, which unfortunately is not able to do so.
There's no visible damage on the Alpha as far as my end, but I agree with you 100% as Gabism and Bomateo getting out of shape, coming through 11 and 12. Jacobs looking at them as we come into 13. It's Gabism on the inside with a lunge, and he will take that position from the Aston Martin. Jacob bumps Bomateo. Bomateo's into the grass. He's going to lose out big time as Henner's more than likely had the front row seat to that. Guac and Gabism. What a massive amount of overtaking we're seeing here. And as we talk about overtaking, it's literally Rhapsody, who was on pole position in this race, with Mr. Ruiz in second, fighting it out once again. And it's the medium runner holding everything tight still.
We got retirement and a safety car, Striff.
Oh,
Bomateo
my.
exit turn 2.
Well, what tire? What about the tires?
I
Ruiz.
almost think Ruiz stays out of this.
What about the tires?
Big decision here for the McLaren.
This is huge.
He can switch to fresh softs, have that advantage. I think that's the right play with all those time penalties. It doesn't really matter if he pits, because he'll probably get back to the same position. Safety car will stay up probably to lap 27, you'd think, with where OOT is on the track. I think at this point, you have to pit if you're the McLaren. Oh, I hope he does. It'll be very exciting.
My mind thinks of Hungary. Mikkel knows what I'm talking about, of course. The Rain Legend Drive with Boltzmann. Fresh tires would be deadly, but he's coming. He's staying out. And
Johnny Disco in. Johnny Disco is in. Expecting Guac to follow, and he has. And we also have the Haas of Cotters in as well.
Yeah, if you're any of these guys in the back 10, you don't really have much to lose. And 5 laps, fresher tires, does make a difference.
It does indeed. I almost think Ruiz should have pitted, but he's staying out. Inside track position. Values
Well,
are higher.
shown,
Yeah, he's already shown he
that
can.
he's got the defensive tool set. I mean, it wasn't easy for either Graz or Rhapsody to get past him, and it was near on impossible for Guac to when he tried. So, and he's only got to hold on for 3 laps, so only 1 lap where the drivers behind him will have DRS assistance. So maybe that'll be enough.
Maybe it will. Depends if Cotters can catch up, really, before we get to around turn 14. That's that DRS detection point in the bottom right of your screens.
what a race it's been. Absolutely.
I think we'll have 3 laps.
Yeah, but the race is far from over.
Oh, he's retired. He's actually crashed, Mick.
Oh
Pushing too
no!
much into turn 12 and he's just dropped it. And there'll be two laps of green flag racing, no DRS, so it's all about raw pace and what tyres you got on.
Yep, that makes him That makes Scott as the 8th retirement in this race. We've lost Bel Mateo, Deng Wu, Vischer, Carmelescent, Sidewinder, Maxim B, and Fluffy Dave. 12 drivers remaining on this grid. Lots of penalties all down this order. Johnny Disco, Walk, 2 very fast drivers in the sharp end of the championship at the back of things with fresher tyres. You have Emery's, who's put on a defensive masterclass so far to hold on to that podium place, keeping it clean. Can he survive for 3 laps and earn McLaren that champagne on the podium? Or will the tyres not be enough?
It's a big question because you've got to keep in mind, Rapsy and Casquedo Benitez has time penalties as well. Both have 3 seconds. Sales is 6, Hennis is 3. Johnny Disco, OOT, Guok also all have 3. So it's okay for him to drop, you know, maybe 2 positions and still get that podium space. And I don't think he'd mind dropping a position to go as his teammate at the moment.
Oh, OOT's lost it now as well. Exit of turn 6. Same place that Fluffy Dave did. But both passes out under safety car. Make that 11 drivers left.
There's a lot of self-inflicted pain right now.
Safety car coming in.
I'll get hype, guys. Gonna have a 3-lap sprint to the end. Graz in a very nice position.
2 lap.
2 laps. My mistake. 2 laps to the end. Even more intense.
Oh,
All that pressure building up over the race. It all comes down to this, guys.
Sorry, he hasn't backed up the pack well enough, I don't think.
Yeah,
He hasn't given himself an opportunity to go.
Yeah, this is gonna be
The
tight.
will be in. Oh. Lucky Rapsy was not close enough to the rear end of that Ferrari.
Here goes Casquedo, Ruiz. Oh, it's gonna be tight into turn 1. There goes Casquedo ahead of Ruiz. Gabby's him on the rear of his teammate.
Ruiz's cold tires. He's had a moment through turn 2.
Wow. And just like that, he has dropped all the way to 7th position. Gabux G, Johnny Disco with an exchange through turn 3 right now. Gabux nearly getting hooked on Johnny Disco as Johnny holds 9th now. Ruiz picks up 3 seconds, and that's huge. Graz holding on to a potential race win right now. He's got 1 sector and a lap to go. Rhapsody holding on to a penalty with Casquedo Benitez in tow behind.
One more lap, Striff and Mick. We could see elbows get out here.
I mean, Rhapsody was on pole for a reason. 1 lap to go. Graz about 0.5 of a second ahead of the Brazilian. But still, Rhapsody and Casquedo with those time penalties. So that'll promote Gabbyism and Jake onto the podium as things stand right now. But there are still a lot of corners where you can just slightly extend the track limits and that'll all go down the drain.
Johnny very tight to Ruiz right now. It's a very, very interesting situation between this pair.
Rhapsody's getting pretty close to the back of Graz as well.
Looking for
Could
the
we see
inside.
something?
Oh my, it's wheel to wheel. Rhapsody, I think he pulled off a bit there. I don't think he had a choice.
Oh, Jacobs, 3 seconds at the chicane.
And Ruiz as well.
Here we go now, Graz out of the final turn, turn 16 here around Albert Park in the Ferrari. holding it tight to the inside to wave at the team because he takes the race win here for round 3 in the Americas Tier 1 division. Gabism in the McLaren will take 2nd position, and it's the pole sitter Rhapsody finishing 3rd here for Mercedes after what has been a very intense 29 lap race.
And Striff, after all of that, Ruiz is down in P11. He got hung up in an accident out of turn 15. I believe it was with Henners and another Williams. So what was looking somewhat promising is all faded away for the McLaren driver.
What a race. What a race. Really enjoyed this one. Great fun around Australia, and it really has been all week. Of course, the Americas Tier 1 division putting on a great show, a great spectacle. There we have it once again. It is the American Graz in the Ferrari, 6th to 1st here. Very solid showing from him. Gabism 18th to 2nd, and it was Rhapsody who started pole in the Mercedes, finishing 3rd. Of course, we had Skiddo Benitez finish 4th, Jacob 5th, Gabix G in 6th, Guak in 7th, Sales in 8th, and Henners in 9th. Johnny Disco running out our points finishers. It's 3 points for Williams versus 15 points for Mercedes. That is the haul. So Becky B's absence, I should say, not fully capitalized on by the Mercedes crew, and a little bit of damage control there in the end, supposedly by the Williams squad. What a race it was in the end. With that said, I think we're gonna get ourselves some interviews.
Quite a race from Gabism. P18 to P2. Brilliant job. And a bit lucky with the safety car at the end, but mind that. He's put it together. He's got on that podium, Striff.
Waiting on potential interview with our P3 finisher this evening. We'll just check in to see if he is available. Okay. All right. First up, welcome to the commentary booth to Rhapsody. Welcome, and congratulations on your podium finish today in Australia. How are you feeling after a 29 lap race?
Hey, Striff, Seb, everybody. I feel it's I capitalized at some good points for the championship, for the drivers' championship, on back B, but I'm not happy with this result. As I had 5-second time penalty due to a pit stop bug. If you enter the box on 3rd or 2nd gear, it just speeds up, and well, nothing I can do about it since I paid the 5 seconds. I try to drive a safe race since it's a tricky track. Yeah, you can get DNF here easily, so I try to drive reasonable speed, and I guess I had the pace to win, of course, but still I'm sad. I'm really sad with this, and Grass did a really good job, not having any time penalty, and Gabson also. Well, that's it. That's how things is. Let's move to the next race.
Well, it was a solid race in the end, of course, still capturing that podium, even with the pole position. It was a good qualifying for you. You've been showing very well in qualifying all season long so far after now 3 rounds. Imola coming up ahead. How are you feeling for Italy?
Yeah, I think it's a nice track. It's much easier than Australia, of course. I think I can do better there. Yeah, it's like I could have made 0.4 on my qualifying, but Gabox DNF in the middle of the track. I lost a lot of time, and still was a good pole position. And yeah, I had pace. I was for three out of three pole positions. I did miss it last week for Johnny, but could not make a good lap on last week, and I feel great for this season. I think I can try to beat Becky B. I feel I have more pace than him right now. I don't know about next week or the another weeks, but I feel right now I can beat him, and it's just a matter of avoiding mistakes, avoiding DNFs, and moving on.
Well, we will see you next week for round 4, and again, congratulations on this evening's finish.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Sam.
All right, everybody, that was Rhapsody. Now, of course, that was our P3 finisher. Now we're going to take some time and talk to Gabizim. Gabizim is joining us in the commentary booth now. Second position finish. What a finish. Gabizim, what a wild race this must have been for you. A huge climb. How you feeling?
First of all, good evening, guys. And it's quite a surprise to be P2. I had an incident on the quali, and then at the first lap I spun trying to overtake someone. So was just expecting to a safety car to save the race, but a P2 is way more than I was expecting.
Really, really exciting finish, of course, to come through into second. And, of course, in round 4, Imola, how are you feeling for the race coming ahead?
Well, it's not a track that I like. It's quite hard to in the pads, but I don't know, trying again to take the positions with other mistakes.
Definitely. Seb, do you have any questions for Gabizim?
No, but other than that, congratulations. What was a great drive, because a couple late safety cars, but you still capitalized on it and you kept it clean as well. So well done, Gabizim, on what was a fantastic drive.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night, Gabizim, and again, congratulations.
Thanks, you guys.
Finally, now joining us in the commentary booth, it is going to be the Ferrari driver, Graz. How are you feeling? Congratulations. It is the race victory this evening for round 3.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'm still shaking a little bit. That was, unexpected, but it feels good.
Really exciting race. Of course, you've been kind of creeping up on these guys in the Ferrari, not only this season, but last season as well, making yourself noticed. You've had some fantastic results in the season 5. Now you've got yourself this race win already into the 3rd round. It took you a little bit longer last season, but how are you feeling getting a race win only in round 3 of this season? Do you think you can make a run at these guys?
Yeah, I honestly feel like, I can definitely give, some good battles every single race. It's a little bit different from last year. It took me a while to get going, but, I just built so much consistency in my racing, and I just feel confident every single track that I race at. So today was just perfect example of all the hard work I've put in, and it feels really good to actually get some good results for it.
Consistency is key, of course, and it played in for you massively today. One of the only drivers to go without a penalty. How does that make you feel, seeing the rest of the field really kind of struggling on a circuit like Albert Park, where it's easy to cross over a track limit, take a penalty, and then you come through with no penalties in the end? Does that make you feel really confident moving ahead into the calendar?
Yeah, it makes me feel really good, but that's definitely something that I went into knowing that I needed to do, was not have any penalties. And I know Albert Park is a track that everyone tends to get penalties at, so I knew if I stayed off the penalty board, I would have likely, gotten a good position. It just worked out where everything with the safety cars and everyone else getting penalties and just. I mean, the penalties didn't matter in the end, but I mean, it definitely took a little bit of weight off my shoulders, knowing that I had a little bit of leeway there. But it just felt really good, to just have a perfect clean race.
Well, it was a great race to watch. And last question from me. Not sure if Seb has any, but the one thing I'd like to really kind of ask you is Ferrari driver next week, Imola. What's the prediction? High expectations?
I think Ferrari's gonna do well there. I have some pretty high expectations for both me and Sales. So, at least points for both of us, but hopefully one of us can squeak onto a podium.
Sounds great. Seb, anything for Graz?
Yeah, first off, congrats on the win. You just said that you were shaking and you were a bit surprised by the result. At what point did you think you were a chance of the win in the race? Can you pinpoint that lap, or just around what time were you thinking, hey, I've got a chance here of stealing a race win from Rhapsody?
Yeah. So I mean, at the beginning there, whenever I think 3 cars got taken out, Disco, Max, or I forget who all it was, but just a few people got taken out. It was me and Rhapsody. I knew that from right there I had a chance to win the race. So luckily I got the safety car, and then it just worked out in my favor with his 5-second penalty. So
Nice, and once again, congrats on the race win. Keen to seeing what happens to the rest of the season.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Graz, and see you next week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up our America's Tier 1 Season 6 action. Of course, this is round 3, the Australian Grand Prix. My name is Striffium. Joining me for all of it has been Sebastian and Mikiao. And I'm extremely thrilled to say that I had 2 Australians joining me for the Australian leg of the calendar. Maybe I'll have to find some extra Canadians for the...
What, did Australia not good enough?
No. I'm only joking. But of course, big shout out to everybody that came through tonight to hang with us. And we will see you next week for Imola. And of course, you can find all the replays and awesome stuff on YouTube. And of course, join the Discord if you haven't already, because that is where everything happens. All right. Good night, everybody. And we will see you all in the next one.